Did you know? We live in a world of buildings. Today, we will introduce you to the process of building one. Specifically, this building. This bungalow is set in Shah Alam. It's a 3-story high bungalow and has a total built area of 3,722 square feet on a steep slope. Our client is open to any interior design, wants retaining walls to create usable spaces, a swimming pool integrated into design, and approval from an environmental impact assessment to reduce damage to site. Let's start with an introduction of the team players involved. Firstly, an architect's role is to produce overall design and coordinate specialist inputs from others, also to administer contract on organization's behalf, as well as submitting planning and building control applications as an agent. Next, his duties is to keep records of different contracts, details of the project, cost and the budget details, time limit and progress report. Also to clarify the details of design with the construction team, and to work and solve technical issues faced in the design and the implementation with the construction team. Also to certify works that has been completed in the correct manner. Next, his required qualities include designing skills and knowledge, thinking and reasoning skills, knowledge of building and construction, good customer service, and also to be attentive to details.
Secondly, a quantity surveyor's job scope is compiling bill of quantity based on drawings and specifications. He is also in charge of organizing tender, check tender returns, and write tender reports. He carries out monthly valuations during contract, values the completed work, and arrange payments. Besides, a quantity surveyor is responsible in controlling the predetermined budget and expenditure of each stages in a project. He also monitors and tracks project progress so that he can make sure of the measurements and valuation of variations easily, then forecast final cost of a project. To be a quantity surveyor, he should possess methodical thinking, construction knowledge, and financial and numeracy management skills. He must also be good in communicating and negotiating with other individuals and always be prepared to absorb complex information from other consultants. For your information, a quantity surveyor should clearly understand the health and safety executive building regulations and guidelines.
Next, it will be an environmental impact assessment consultant. His roles include creating project strategies which identifies the range of issues critical to project risk, and to define a suitable project scope proportionate to the nature and scale of development. Also to design in solutions embedding sustainable mitigation measures in the design, and to prepare a robust environmental statement or appraisal that addresses regulatory requirements and guidance. His duties include conducting field surveys and collecting data, carrying out desk-based research, researching previous investigations of site, managing legislative issues, and to advise on best courses of action.
The role of land surveyor is basically a professional that marks all the boundaries in which people have vested interest in that particular land. Land surveyor also identifies measurement of properties sold or purchased. Furthermore, the land surveyor will also locate buildings, roads, and utilities for real estate developers and also measure the exact limits of mining claims. They will also mark their location on maps known as surveys. Other than that, the responsibility of land surveyor includes recording the space positioning and angles between 2 points on the ground, and also uses agreed upon reference points that called benchmark as a starting point. Additionally, the land surveyor will carefully delineate the boundaries of interest by using both their on-site surveys and record found in land offices to write the legal description of a parcel. Lastly, the land surveyor will use a geographic information system device to prepare a highly detailed and layered map of the result of a survey to determine condition of the site.
The role of a town planner consists of several things, including management and development of cities, towns, villages, and the countryside. Besides that, they also balance the conflicting demands of housing, industrial development, agriculture, recreation, transport, and the environment in order to allow appropriate development to take place and ensure that development is sustainable. Their aim is to make a positive contribution towards tackling the effects of climate change. They possess the responsibility of developing creative and original planning solutions to satisfy all parties. They also negotiate with developers and other professionals such as surveyors and architects. Town planners research and analyze data to help inform strategic developments such as increases in affordable housing provision, as well as attend planning boards, appeals, and public inquiries. They need to constantly keep up to date with legislation associated with land use. They also help disadvantaged groups express their opinions about planning issues and proposals, and visit sites to assess the effects of proposals on people or the environment.
A green initiative's role is to optimize use of materials and resources, reduce energy consumption, reduce waste and emissions, and to reduce maintenance, exploitation, and deterioration of the building. His duties include creating strategies for sustainability, developing and implementing systems to measure the progress of sustainability initiatives, carry out research and ecology surveys and use environmental impact assessments to measure issues, and collect and analyze data, and produce reports to demonstrate findings, and to recommend the most cost-effective and beneficial routes to sustainability. This could involve switching to alternative energy sources to lower energy costs, smarter water usage, reducing waste and lowering carbon emissions. Also, his qualities include presentation skills, good reading comprehension, complex problem solving, and critical thinking.
A landscape architect is assigned to prepare site plans and design proposals that coordinates the arrangement of land features and structures. Before that, he has to analyze environmental reports on land conditions such as drainage and energy usage. After finalizing the drawings, he selects appropriate materials for use in landscape design, which include hardscape and softscape elements. His main duties include gathering site information on topography, soil conditions, hydrology, natural conservation requirements, etc. A landscape architect therefore carries out site inventory and analysis, for example sun and shade patterns, microclimate and sloping, and the gathered information is verified to determine site conditions. A good landscape architect is capable in communicating, problem solving, and visualizing. In addition, he or she is required to be creatively, technically, and analytically skilled in landscape designing.
For Civil and Structural Engineer, also known as C&S Engineer, the roles of it is to analyze the drawings of the architect and then come up with the best structural design to integrate into the design. Besides that, he will inspect the project sites to ensure all the structural and beams that are built is accurate to the design. As for the duties of C&S Engineer, he will first test out the soils and materials in order to determine the adequacy and strength of foundations. After that, he will then lay out the location for infrastructure installation for above and underground. Then, he will come up with civil and structural drawings that best fits the design. A BQ for the course of C&S will be prepared by himself as well.
The role of a mechanical and electrical engineer is to ensure all electrical and mechanical systems in the project comply to the building code and are properly tailored to the site of the project. These systems should also be cost-effective and implemented safely and reliably. The M&E will also need to develop accurate project specifications with his fellow consultants. Therefore, the M&E's duty is to ensure the safety of all the systems he installs. Besides that, he must also have a wide scope of engineering knowledge to implement not only basic but also specific systems for the client. He must understand the function of each room well and design the illumination of the room accordingly. The same care must be taken when installing sanitary, plumbing, ventilation, and active firefighting systems. He should also interpret the construction drawings and contractual documents properly. Cost, time, and safety constraints must also be taken into account. Finally, he also has the duty to ensure he has the necessary qualities as an M&E, such as computer-aided design skills, research skills, having an analytical and critical mind, as well as great mathematical abilities.
As for a swimming pool specialist, he works with other consultants in designing the swimming pool with the wants, needs, and budgets of a client. After done designing, he selects suitable materials to be used to build a swimming pool. Furthermore, he also handles and installs chemicals and performs minor cleaning and repair to swimming pools after completion. During the construction stage, he supervises the installation of the swimming pool. He orders and maintains inventory of chemicals, parts and supplies needed for the swimming pool, and advises the contractor on the methods of building it.
The main authorities involved in this project include the fire department to ensure requirements for firefighting services, local authorities for checking and approving documents and checking the site. Other important key members in this process are obviously the client, who is responsible for proposing the whole project, provides pre-construction information, welfare, signing off approval point and appointing the architect as well as contractor.
A contractor is a person who has contracted with another individual for a construction of a building. There are a few responsibilities of being a contractor. First, a contractor should plan ahead what is being done by understanding all the drawings, and also plan ahead all crucial project development and implementation details. At the beginning of the construction, the contractor should have enough resources to complete the whole construction process, such as supply of material, equipment, or even hire subcontractors to perform specific tasks. A contractor should be responsible to take care or monitor the site by making sure that the project progresses according to the timeline and budget. A contractor is responsible with all the legal and regulatory requirements. This means that contractor has to obtain all necessary permits before proceeding to start the project. Lastly, contractor has a safety policy to ensure health and safety at the site. Contractor is also required to carry out remedial work under DLP, which is the defect liability period.
Let's begin with the construction process. Here is a brief outline of the entire process all the way to completion. Let's first start off with inception. During the inception, the client is needed to consider project requirements. The client will then appoint an architect. The architect shall develop brief according to exact requirements of client through consultation and advise client on consultant appointments. Bringing it back to the client, he or she shall appoint other consultants based on the architect's advice, in which the architect shall lead the consultant team and also coordinate and supervise their work. Second is the feasibility phase. This phase starts with the land surveyor and the architect. The main purpose of this phase is to conduct their studies and preliminary site investigations. That includes subsurface condition of site measurement, and documentation of site conditions. Here's where an extra player comes into the process, the swimming pool specialist. This player shall conduct site visits to investigate swimming pool site. The C&S Engineer comes in to consider technical and functional feasibilities and advises these to the architect. The architect reports the feasibility to the client, where the client shall disapprove or approve to continue on with the proposals. The proposals are sent to the town planner, where he or she shall conduct a zoning search. The town planner is responsible for providing restrictions, setbacks, density, and so on. Once that's all done, development proposal plan is prepared. The town planner then submits plan to MBSA to apply for planning permission, where it should be approved by the building department. Next is the outline stage. The architect first provides proposals of project design for the client to approve. The landscape architect designs landscape according to site, while the interior designer designs interior spaces, which includes the living room, the dining room, and as well as 5 bedrooms. Once the rough outline of the building is confirmed, the swimming pool specialist shall propose a design and integrate it into the design of the house. The quantity surveyor comes in and calculates a preliminary cost plan. Based on our calculations, an estimate cost of the project, excluding interior elements, is an approximate 1.6 million. The C&S Engineer plans out a preliminary design for infrastructure, while the M&E Engineer applies for basic utilities such as water, electricity, and telecommunication services. And of course, the building has to be EIA approved. So the EIA consultant will help the team consider aspects to reduce damage to the site and considers options such as energy efficiency, indoor environment quality, sustainable site planning and management, materials and resources, innovation and water efficiency. Here we face our main problem in constructing this bungalow, the steep slope. Normally, cut and fill will be used to level the site. However, this involves a mass excavation which damages the site majorly. Hence, it is more environmentally friendly to incorporate split level design in the project, which has a higher ceilings towards the front. This will require less excavation, thus having a smaller impact on the site. Other ideas to make it more environmentally friendly include solar panels, joint children and adult pool to reduce pumps, and using energy efficient bulbs throughout the house. Finally, the design assessment is failed and we can proceed to the next stage. The scheming phase involves all the team players now. The architect shall prepare architectural drawings and plans, which will include the house architectural plans, site plans, infrastructural plans, mechanical and electrical plans, as well as a swimming pool plan provided by the respective consultants. The architect works together with the land surveyor and the C&S engineer to conduct detailed site investigations like field tests and test areas of major cut and fill and retaining walls. The C&S engineer works closely with the architect to design the infrastructural installations while still maintaining the aesthetic of the bungalow. The M&E engineer will then design the sanitary, electrical and mechanical systems into the design of the building, which includes the plumbing for 4 bathrooms and a master bedroom, and other electrical and mechanical systems such as plug points, lighting, security and air conditioning. The swimming pool specialist will then work with the M&E engineer and a C&S engineer to ensure that the structural, mechanical and electrical systems required for the pool are properly coordinated into plans. The C&S engineer and swimming pool specialist will also work together to figure out how to build the pool into the sloping area with minor impact on the slope. The architect will also fine-tune the design accordingly. Next, the pool should also be designed according to the requirements set by MBSA, such as a maximum depth of 4 feet with a minimum setback from the boundary of 7.5 meter. Once that's all done, the interior designer and the landscape architect should have finalized all designs to be approved by the client. Thus, the architect will check all plans submitted by the consultants and coordinated, fine-tune them and lastly ensure they abide to the building code. When that's done, the plan is submitted to the MBSA to obtain building plan approval. Then, the architect will prepare the project planning and implementation schedule with a Gantt chart and pass it to the client so they are aware of how the project will progress. Next, it's time for tendering. The first thing that occurs is that the quantity surveyor will create a detailed measurement of all the elements in the proposed building and produce a bill of quantities based on the design of the consultants. Then, the quantity surveyor will advise the client on procurement, tendering, and contractual procedures and arrangement. After that, the quantity surveyor will shortlist suitable contractors with client approvals and invite the contractors to submit tenders. Then, the quantity surveyor and architect will evaluate tenders by choosing the contractors according to the client's budget and interviewing them to evaluate previous works and their financial background. Based on this, the quantity surveyor and architect will recommend a contractor to the client. Thus, a contract will be signed between client and contractor, which is fairly administered by the architect. Now, it's time to plan. Before beginning, the architect will check the contractor's insurance are in order. Then the main contractor and subcontractor will develop a safety and health manual to safeguard the health and safety of the public. Engineers, on the other hand, will schedule preparations, pre-planning for engineering and other technical activities relating to the project. Resources will be mobilized and then brought over to the site for construction. Then, local authorities will be informed. Finally, the architect will lead project meetings to discuss and create an understanding between consultants and contractor. Once that's settled, the green light is given for the contractor to commence work. Next, the construction phase begins. The team players involved in this whole construction process include these people. Firstly, the architect will schedule project meetings and site visits to ensure progress of contractors, ensure quality of work is maintained and liaise with other consultants when problems arise, as well as supervising valuations made by quantity surveyor in each completed stage of work. Secondly, the landscape architect will ensure the implementation of softscape and hardscape elements is according to plan, while the interior designer on the other hand supervises and ensures the interior design goes accordingly and handle issues that arise properly. Next, the engineers will be performing tasks such as preparing reports, resolving technical difficulties, performing a technical, organizational and supervisory role on construction projects, ensuring that standards, performance, and safety are met, ensuring that building systems are in good working order before handing the projects over to the client, and overseeing the testing, maintenance, and repair of the building systems. The contractors are responsible for turning working drawings and specifications into a physical facility and ensuring the safety manual is followed. The contractor will also hire subcontractors to handle specialized tasks in order to ensure good workmanship. Meanwhile, the swimming pool specialist is responsible for constructing and managing the construction of swimming pools. For the payment process, the contractor will submit interim claims. The quantity surveyor will then analyze these claims and write detailed progress reports. The completed work will be evaluated and the quantity surveyor will arrange payment accordingly while also making sure that the cost remains under budget. Then, the architect will prepare the interim certificates for stage payment to the contractor after evaluation. Finally, the client will make payment to the contractor. Before beginning, the land surveyor will set up the site. Next is the most important part of the process, earthworks. Since the site has a steep slope, minimal site clearing is needed to protect mature vegetation for slope stability. Excavation will then be done to form a level plain, through cut and fill. Then, the surrounding soil will be retained with retaining walls to support the wall and prevent it from tilting from pressure from the earth behind it. Similarly, excavation for the pool will also occur according to the specifications. After that, drainage will be provided behind the retaining walls and installed so surface water is diverted away from the building to a legal point of stormwater discharge to avoid damage or nuisance to any adjoining property. Thus, MBSA will then have the very first inspection of earthworks to give their approval. Following that, the internal and external support structure of the house will be built. This includes not only the walls, but also the infrastructure designed by the C&S Engineer, electrical conduit, insulations, gutters, and plumbing. Then the swimming pool structure of a concrete base, piles, and casing will also be installed, along with the filtration units, pumps, and motors and drainage specified by the M&E engineer and swimming pool specialist. Upon the completion of the house and swimming pool structure, the second inspection will be carried out to ensure structural integrity. In the next stage, locking up of the buildings occur. This includes doors, windows, remaining walls, plumbing and electrical finishes, and other fixtures and fittings such as lights, sinks, and toilets. Then we have our last inspection by MBSA, which revolves around the electrical installations and plumbing. Then, plastering and dry lining of the building will occur, including lining of the pool. Painting, tiling, and rendering works will follow, as well as the installation of the design features such as built-in cabinets and shelves. Finally, the site will be cleaned up and finishing touches such as filling up the pool and moving in all of the interior elements will be done. And not forgetting variation order. Variation order is defined as alterations that occur when alterations to design, quantities, qualities, working conditions, and sequence of work happens. Moving on, it's time for the completion phase. The first thing that happens is that the client will be walking through the finished project. During this period, a making of good building defects stage will occur. Hence, faults identified with the bungalow will be fixed until the client approves. Meanwhile, the architect will ensure that all 21G forms are signed by the respective parties. When that is done, the architect will be able to issue the certificate of completion and compliance and hand over the bungalow to the client. The architect will prepare the final account of the project and make the final payment to the contractor, which signals that the project is finally done. This will then be followed with the GPI submission for completion and verification assessment for the GPI certifier to check the completed project and inform the results. If the completed bungalow is done properly according to the assessment, the project will be certified. As a conclusion, throughout this project, we have learned several important things, such as the importance of teamwork, abiding the laws and authorities, as well as caring for Mother Nature. First and foremost, team players have to coordinate together in order to achieve a good end product. Each of them must know their roles and carry out their responsibilities, as every single one of them is essential in the success of the project. Furthermore, although we have freedom to create, we must use our creativity to think of designs that are not only aesthetical but also abiding to the law. It is important to ensure the health and safety of the public always comes first, and it's vital that we utilize our land and spaces well to ensure our resources don't go to waste. Finally, while we build up our project, we must also make sure we are not breaking down Mother Nature. It is crucial to revolve our design around preserving the environment to reduce the impact on nature, so that we not only build buildings, but also a brighter future for the next generation to come.